The 400 is a brutal race. If you want help running the 400 meters like a pro, then you're in the right place. If you found this video, I know you feel nervous, a bit short on time, and want to run your best 400 meters. You've got a 400 coming up, maybe in a few days, maybe in a few hours. You don't want to just survive it. You want to run like a pro. I'll show you how to instantly improve your 400-meter dash sprint and run like a pro no matter how much time you have left to prepare. By following the 7 tips I've laid out in this video, especially with the bonus tip we have at the end, I promise to show you how to run like a pro in your very next race. Every tip matters, so don't skip a step because missing one could be the reason why you fall short. And the first instant fix doesn't start with your legs, but it starts with your mind. When dealing with the 400 meters in particular, most of us have a small voice and a big voice. Your small voice is going to do exactly what it sounds like. Your small voice is going to keep you small. I'm going to draw my little small guy here. This is a happy runner. The trick with the small voice is that sometimes it can have loud thoughts. Thoughts such as hide, quit, this is too hard. And my favorite one that my athletes always try to tell me is, why me? Why do I have to be the one that runs the 400 meter? And then, of course, on the opposite end, you have your big voice. This challenges you to grow bigger. So I'm going to draw my big guy here. Your big voice is going to say stuff like attack, compete. That's a big one right there. Compete and finish, another important step. I forgot to give him a nice smiley face because he's the, I should give the small guy a sad face. Okay, so I don't care how old you are. I don't care how long you've been running track. I don't care if you're professional or you're just starting. This is your first race ever. Everyone has a small voice. Everyone has a big voice. Don't be confused. Just because it's a small voice doesn't mean it's not a loud voice. And just because it's a big voice doesn't mean it's not a soft voice. And I'm bringing this up as tip number 1. Don't listen to the small voice. This is the first tip because of how important it is and how much every athlete, no matter your level of experience, deals with it. Now, tell me if this sounds familiar. You're at the start line and your brain is screaming to you to run, hide, or quit. If you've had any of these moments, go ahead and comment below. I know I have. So the more you listen to the big voice, the stronger it gets, the louder it becomes, the easier it is to listen to this voice that's challenging you to attack, that's challenging you to compete. The small voice doesn't go away, right? It's still there, but it's much quieter. It's much more quiet. You need to have some faith. You need to have some confidence that when you go out there, when you attack, when you compete, you will finish, because that's one of the big parts of the 400 that I see a lot of people struggle with is, I don't really want to hurt at the end. The home stretch is a struggle for me. And don't worry, stay tuned. We're going to cover all of that in a second. So tip number 2 is to visualize your perfect race. We haven't gotten to the X's and O's just yet. It is coming up, but these 2 are the most important to start with, especially in a condensed timeline. How do you visualize your race? You want to see it, you want to feel it, then you want to run it. Now, why is visualizing your race so important? Let's say you have 5 minutes until your race. You're watching this video, you're at your track meet, or you have a day or 2 days, which is super common in the comments that I've seen. Visualizing your race is something you can do while you're seated, while you're waiting for your race to come up. And it is so powerful. It's something that every elite performer does. And the reason is because when you visualize in great detail, as I'm about to show you, your brain cannot actually tell the difference between what is true and what is false. So when you visualize correctly, while you're waiting for your race, it's as though you're running your race over and over and over. It's a way to do mental reps while preserving your body physically. When you see your race, I want you to close your eyes for a second. I want you to picture yourself at the start line, getting into the blocks. I need as much visual detail as possible. Before we even get into the blocks, we want to be able to picture the weather. We want to know what the wind is doing. Maybe the wind's blowing this way. Look at those detailed drawings. You want to understand where the stands are located. These are the stands. And maybe you have mom and dad here. Or maybe you have coach here. Friends, whoever might be there to watch you, to support you. Or maybe you're just all alone, but you don't want any surprises. You want to be able to visually see it. You want to feel the weather. You want to feel the wind. You want to feel the sun. This is the sun. And then you begin the start of your race. You want to get into your blocks, go through your routine, because of course we have a routine to get in our blocks. Or if you're not using blocks, you still want your routine. We're going to do what we know from version 1 of how to run the 400, which is 90% for 90 meters. Then we're going to float the backstretch. Then we're going to fight uphill. Then we're going to sprint downhill. If you're unfamiliar with this, don't worry. I'm going to go over it in a second. And then you want to stay relaxed. You want to use your arms and you want fast turnover to go home. And if you visualize your race, maybe it takes you 50 seconds because you want to run 50 or 60 because you want to run 60. But that's one rep. And then you close your eyes and then you repeat and repeat and repeat. So even if you only have 5 minutes before your race, you can get in at least 4 reps of this. Now, one of the keys here is that you want to feel it. Now, what does that mean? I want to bring emotion into the visual aspect. This is a feedback loop, right? I want all the good emotions that we discussed from our big voice. I want to feel confident. Maybe a little aggression is not too horrible right now if you have any inside of you. I want to compete and I want to finish my race strong. The only next step after that is to go out and do it. Now that our big voice is in charge, now that we visualized our race, tip number 3 is to break the 400 meters into chunks. Think about the last time you worked on a huge project, did a workout, or even had a meal that looked too big. And you thought to yourself, man, I'll never be able to finish this. But once you break it into small steps, once you take the whole pie and divide it into slices, the work feels possible. And the 400 meters works the same way. A part of our original game plan already broke the 400 meter down into bite-sized chunks. We're going over each section in depth in a second, but first we're going to cover the whole game plan and then break it down and understand what each piece means. So if you remember from the original video, we have 90% for 90 meters acceleration. Then we get to our backstretch. We're nice, open, and relaxed. We're going to fight uphill on this turn. I like to split the turn into 2 pieces. So from this first 200 mark up this hill for the first 50 meters, I'm going to treat it as though I'm literally running uphill because as we're going to cover in a second, this is really when that lactic acid begins to build up. And then we're going to split the turn into downhill portions. So if you've ever run downhill, what happens is your feet get to turning over faster. Eventually you fall because you can't keep up with your momentum. So this is the portion where I really want to focus on arm swings, turnover, and really build up to max speed again. And then the finish is all about relaxing, using your arms, creating turnover to finish strong. When we're able to break the 400 down into sections, we're then able to understand where can I make up time or where might I be losing time. The perfect example of this is the 400 meter Olympic champion Quincy Hall. At 150, at 200, it appeared as though he wasn't even in the race. But because he was able to break the race into chunks, he knew he wasn't out of the race completely, even though he may have been behind during that section. One of the other benefits of breaking the race into sections is that if you feel behind, you don't feel the need to win the race back all at once. You just have to think about making up progress within each section. So now that we know how to break up our 400 into sections, we're going over how do I manage each section. And stay tuned for the bonus tip, which might be the most useful tip yet. Now, I need you to pay attention to these next 4 tips because they're really going to inform what your visualization that we covered in tip 2 should be like. Okay, so section 1, we're going 90% for 90 meters. What I often see is my athletes don't even understand what 90% means. One tip I can give you is that your adrenaline will be so high, you won't have to really worry about how to maintain 90. You won't have to worry about what percentage you're going necessarily. You just want to get out hard, but not too hard. One of the ways I like to coach this first 90% is you want to be strong, but you don't want to be desperate. If you get behind from the very beginning of the race, you'll create a gap between yourself and other runners that then requires you to try to catch them too fast, which will lead to burnout in the final stretch. But what you want to avoid is being desperate on this first section here, because you understand you have more sections coming up where you can regain your ground. And again, you want to avoid burning out in that last 100. And that's tip number 4, which is to get out hard, but not too hard. Tip number 5 is to relax on the back stretch. What you want to do is remain open with your stride. Remember, you have your adrenaline still carrying you off of this turn. You just want to ride the adrenaline. You want to stop hitting the gas, but definitely don't put on the brakes, right? In other words, you just want cruise control. One tip to really dialing down the backstretch is to relax your face, relax your jaw, relax your hands, relax your shoulders. You don't want to be really tight because then it leads to tight everywhere else in your body. You want to be nice, relaxed, smooth. Tip number 6 is to stay smooth, fight uphill. Don't panic because you will begin to feel this lactic acid buildup. But the more relaxed you stay, the more you can focus on this downhill portion where you want to get your turnover back going again. So I promise you, the lactic acid is building for everyone at this moment. But if you panic, you will tighten and then you will get small in your steps and then it will hurt even more as you finish. Now, very important part before you get to this downhill portion is to recheck your form. Have you broken down in your form? Have you done anything you didn't practice? For me, my example is my head would start turning to the side, not even helping me like lean into the turn. It would turn the other way to the outside of the turn. I don't know why, but that's when my form began to break down. Having correct form will keep you in the correct posture, which will keep you relaxed. So most athletes will have a fear of this lactic acid buildup, and this is kind of where most athletes fold, where most athletes give up. One quick tip is understanding that everyone's feeling it here. And so if you can remain relaxed, if you can keep your form, you're going to begin to get the edge and the advantage on your competitors. So now we touch on this downhill portion. This is when you begin to turn the jets back on, when you want your turnover picking up. And as we discussed, where you want to pretend like you're running downhill, where that momentum slowly begins to turn and the turnover begins to come, so that when you're at the bottom of this hill, you're coming off with speed, you're coming off with force like a slingshot. So that's tip number 6. Attack uphill, remain relaxed, turn the jets on when you get to the top of the turn. Stay with me as we cover tip number 7 on how to finish strong, because the bonus tip is coming up and that's one you really don't want to miss. Tip number 7 on how to finish strong is to let your arms lead and let your legs follow. Why? Well, everyone is tired at this point. I don't care who you are. I don't care how fast you run. You're tired at 300 meters. So understanding that our legs are dead, there is one part of our body, a major part that's really beneficial for sprinting that is not as tired, and that is our arms. So we're going to have nice, big, strong, open arms, and that's going to help connect our legs to the ground, connect our legs to the body, and kind of stay out of the mud. And really important that as you get closer and closer to the finish line, we'll call this the 50 meters. Let's say there's 50 meters to go. Super important that you do not lose this turnover. One of the biggest differences you're going to see between people that finish strong and people that do not. The people that do not finish strong, they're going to look like they're running in mud, like they hit a wall. We've all been there. It's okay. It's a part of training. But what you're going to find in people that finish strong is they're able to control that fatigue and put all their energy into maintaining their turnover. They're able to carry this downhill speed all the way through to the finish line. So tip number 7 is when in doubt, attack with your arms. Now it's time for the bonus tip, which might be the most useful tip yet. So the bonus tip is don't think, just run. Look at all this that we covered. Look at all these scribbles. Look at everything you have to remember. All this uphill, downhill, accelerate 90%, not too fast, blah, blah, blah. If you haven't really practiced this, if you don't have a chance to practice this, if you're 5 hours before your race, 3 hours before your race, it's going to be really hard to do everything perfect. So super key again is the visualization. You can at least picture what the race is supposed to look like. And then this bonus tip is when you get behind your starting blocks, you forget everything. None of this matters. None of this matters in the starting blocks. I'm scribbling all over my own drawings, which are perfect drawings. And I should have been an artist. I should be in art school. But no, I'm scribbling all over it. That's how powerful this bonus tip is. Overthinking will kill your speed. I know this personally from experience with racing cars. When you do your practice laps, it's easy. You're hitting all your brake points. You're hitting all your markers, your acceleration. Everything's perfect. And then you get in the race and you have no idea what's happening. So this is another common theme that I know resonates with a lot of people because I have a different video that is about overthinking that is performing really well. Now I have this tip, stay within arm's reach. That literally means when I pull my arm out, I want to be able to touch the person that's in front of me or the person that I've deemed as my rabbit for the race. You pick a fast person in your race who's a bit faster than you are, not too much faster than you are, and you just essentially grab on and hold on. I don't do this literally, just figuratively. Think about it because they're going to pull you to a fast time. If you're in lane 9 or lane 8, the outermost lane of the track, you want to just avoid having the person behind you being able to touch you. Most athletes will go into their next 400 with nerves, no plan, and panic. You've now got the blueprint to run your 400 meters like a pro, no matter how long you have to prepare. If you made it this far, like at the very least, please like and subscribe. Not many people make it this far. I'm assuming you enjoyed, you got a little bit of value, because it's going to let me know that this resonates with you and I should create more videos just like it.